Immigration Today. This is the show that keeps you informed on immigration and social justice issues. Today our show is about knowing your rights, your responsibilities, and how to protect your family if you live in the United States, and especially if you're an immigrant. Another way that people often find themselves in trouble is when they travel abroad and they've either been out of status in the United States, either they crossed the border without inspection, or they overstayed a visa, or they have a criminal conviction that was maybe, again, 20 years ago, and they're not really focused on that criminal conviction anymore, or they don't think it's important, and they travel outside of the United States. When they come back into the United States, Border Patrol is now enforcing immigration law in a way that they have not been as aggressively in the past. Now, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and Border Patrol are strictly enforcing immigration law. So if you have been out of status in the United States, or you have any kind of serious criminal convictions, you can be stopped from coming back into the United States. You could be found inadmissible. If they do allow you to come into the United States, you could still find yourself being put into removal proceedings after being admitted. So it's very important to understand what your status is before you leave the country. And on that note, I want to explain something in immigration law, which is known as the 3- and 10-year bars. If you have crossed the border without inspection, or you've overstayed your visa, and you've been in the United States for more than 6 months, you face a 3-year bar to your entry back into the United States if you leave the U.S. and try to come back in. If you've been out of status for more than a year, you face what's called the 10-year bar, which means for 10 years you're stopped. If you exit the United States, you're stopped from re-entry for 10 years. So before you make any travel arrangements, even if it's for the death of a family member, make sure you understand your immigration status. Another very important thing to do, which may seem like common sense, but it is to pay your taxes. And immigration law, admittedly, is a bit schizophrenic on this point. On the one hand, we tell immigrants that unless you have legal status, you're not allowed to work in the United States. But then if you do work, you're expected to pay taxes. In almost every kind of immigration relief, a judge will look to see if you have paid taxes in the United States. One of the ways that people do this is to get a taxpayer ID number, and through that taxpayer ID number, they file their taxes. So if you're filing for citizenship or you're applying for cancellation of removal, it will be critical that you have paid your taxes. That is a significant demonstration of your good moral character in the United States. Other things that contribute to a finding of your good moral character are contributing to your community, being involved in your church, having stable employment, especially if you have legal authorization to be employed. Child support payments are very, very important. If you have that obligation, it's critical that you stay up to date on child support payments. So the typical things that people think of as what is a good person and how is that person contributing and making a positive difference to the United States, those are things that the judge is going to look at when assessing whether you should be given permanent status or citizenship in the U.S. Something that is very common in the immigrant community is that people don't get married for whatever reason. Some immigrants don't realize that they are legally able to get married in the United States. Not to be moralistic, and this is not coming from that kind of a place, but getting married is very important in terms of protecting your immigration status. If you're in a long-term relationship with someone, especially if you've had children, getting married is one of the most important ways that you can protect your family and your children. Certain forms of immigration relief are only available to spouses. There's no kind of immigration relief that's available to your partner or the mother or father of your children. So you won't be able to petition for them if you're not married. Oftentimes, immigrants find this out too late when their partner is put into removal proceedings, and then they're seeking to get married at that point. I've even had clients that go to the jail and seek to get married to their partner right before they're removed from the United States. The problem with that is that once a person is put into removal proceedings, then the standard for proving that marriage, that you have a good faith marriage and that you got married for all the right reasons, that you really love this person, is put into doubt. And you now have to prove by clear and convincing evidence that you are marrying this person because you truly love them and not marrying them for an immigration benefit such as a green card. So that's something to think about now before you or your partner ends up in removal proceedings, is whether you should get married, especially if you have been in a long-term relationship. Thank you for joining us for Immigration Today.